All right, before we get started this week, we are going to try, and that's the operative word, try, to give a spoiler-free reaction to the Venom Let There Be Carnage mid-credits scene. Samuel the Hutt, you go first.
Well, they went there.
They did.
In more ways than one.
They went there. Yeah, absolutely. BB Nate, what about you?
I'm just kind of speechless about what happened. It was a lot.
It's, well, let's just say this. I'm not sure I can keep it spoiler free. So here's your warning. Everything that happens in Venom Let There Be Carnage is fair game after the intro finishes playing, including what is without a doubt the most important mid-credits scene in film history. This is Tatooine Sons.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the Porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that Porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody was lit.
So what was it like being in the theater when we, about 10 seconds prior to the actual full-on reveal, figured out what we were seeing on that screen? What was it like with the crowd watching their anticipating their reaction and then hearing it?
Yeah, I mean, that's what movies are made for, is that kind of experience. Movie theaters, are made for, is that kind of experience. It felt like Endgame again, you know, when the whole Avengers Assemble scene. It felt like that.
BB Nate, you had been thinking that this was coming. We'd been talking a little bit about it. What was your thoughts to the reaction?
I was waiting for the post-credit scene to hear the reaction specifically, and it lived up and passed my expectations. It was amazing being in the theater.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Well, welcome to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast. We are the only fan podcast to name a canon Star Wars creature. We are.
Oh.
And to be
when did this happen?
About 4 years ago.
Long time.
Almost. Wow. And also endorsed by Ryan Johnson. That's what you hear in the intro if you're listening.
Same night. That was a busy night.
That was a show-changing, life-changing night for us, really. It was pretty awesome. So that's what you hear on the intro if this is the first time you're listening. We believe that pop culture is the mythology of our generation, that there is a story. It is written on our souls, and that all of these myths speak to that story. And that is why we are talking about Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales, and of course Venom Let There Be Carnage, and probably more about the end credit scene than anything, and what if Ultron won, and the lessons that these stories can teach us. I am David. I am the dad.
Hi, Dad.
Hi.
Nate's just shaking his head. I am honored to be joined every week by my two amazing sons, Samuel the Hutt. What are you talking about this week?
Okay, I know why last week's episode of What If felt off.
Why?
Okay. Go for it.
Because we didn't see Tony die.
Oh,
that's true.
I'm glad that you can joke about this. That's good. BB Nate, what about you? What are you talking about? Obviously Venom, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that movie was kind of a letdown, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Oh, wait, we had that post-credit scene. That's right. We'll talk about that probably a little too much.
The movie itself was still fantastic.
It was. What about you, Dad?
So, well, I'm going to be talking about how beneath the hyper-confident hero of the Resistance, Poe Dameron is really just a big scaredy cat like the rest of us. And we're going to jump into all of these spoilers for Venom, Let There Be Carnage in just a second. But first, we really want to take a moment to thank everyone who is listening, whether you've been listening to the show since before BB Nate's voice changed, as you hear in the intro, or you're just finding us now. We are really grateful to have you here. And if you'll just take 3 seconds to follow the show on the podcast app that you're listening to us on right now, we would really appreciate it. And then make sure you hang around to the end of the episode. There's something really amazing that's happening in November that you'll want to know about, and we're excited to announce our part in it at the end of this episode. All right, enough of the pleasantries. BB Nate.
Yes. Well, this movie and its post-credit scene were so good. We're going to touch on the movie itself for probably less than a minute and then talk all about the post-credit scene and what it means for the MCU for probably a little too long.
For the what now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah, I can fly.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
The people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use?
There's only one God, man. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
That man has no limits.
Oh yeah, this was just a rom-com.
It was. It really was.
Well,
you had to break up.
But then Venom sort of acts like his wingman throughout the whole movie, too.
Yeah.
Like trying to get him back with Anne and that kind of stuff. But
it was awesome.
The relationship between Venom and Eddie is the best part of it.
Oh, it was a lot of fun.
As far as the movie goes. But anyway.
Yes. Okay. So, rating of the movie, not the post-credit scene. I mean, you can include the post-credit scene in your rating, but rating on a scale of 1 to 10 bars of chocolate.
Okay. Bars of chocolate.
Go ahead. Dad, let's go you first.
Me first. Well, without the end credit scene, I would give it an 8, which is pretty good for me on a movie. With that, I thought it was everything that was awesome about the original Venom movie and only that. And so they took out all the stuff that people were really like kind of critical about in the first Venom movie. They left that out. They just it was so funny. Action was great. CGI was great. It was awesome. Now, if you add the end credits scene to it, it's like a 48 for me.
Wow. Yeah, I was going to say just the movie itself, I'd give it an 8. It was fun. It had the action, the humor. They dialed up the humor on this one. They did. Like you said, Nate, I don't think they took themselves as seriously with this one, and it worked in its favor. But yeah, you tack on that end credit scene, and it easily gets bumped to like a 9.5 for me.
Definitely around a 9. I mean, just for the regular movie and the post-credit scene, both were just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed all of it.
Awesome. Cool. All right.
So can we just talk about the post-credit scene real quick?
Well, that's all we're going to end up talking about.
Let's just go there.
So, like, it was really weird. I was expecting like something to happen at the beginning of the post-credit scene, but no, like the first 30 seconds are taken up by them talking about a Mexican soap opera.
They're just showing a clip from Mexican clip,
opera. And they're talking about it, and they're talking about the characters, and they're disagreeing on specific. It was awesome. It just showed the humor of those characters even more. And then Venom starts talking about how these symbiotes have billions of light years of knowledge with them, and
of multiple
universes and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like, and I can't let you know all of it because then your brain would
blow your tiny little mind.
Yeah, exactly. So he was going to let Eddie in just a little bit on the secret. And then the whole room starts to kind of go weird. It glitches a lot like into the Spiderverse when people are being pulled.
That's a good point.
Out. And then Eddie and Venom are in a new, really fancy hotel room. Not anything like there was a trashy hotel room they were in before. And we see on the TV, it's not a Mexican soap opera anymore. It's the dailybugle.net Spider-Man reveal of Peter Parker. And Venom, the one line he says is like, Eddie's like, did you do this? And he's like, no, I didn't do it. I didn't have any part of this.
And I'm going to be honest with you, until I was recapping and thinking about the end credit scene and looking at some articles about it today, because they're all out there.
Oh, yeah.
All over. I didn't realize that Venom had actually said that because I was too busy. I was already freaking out.
Oh, we all were. The whole theater was.
No, you couldn't hear any of it at that point.
I couldn't hear it. And so now reading the dialogue on like screenrant.com and stuff like that, which we like screenrant.com. And
they're kind of neat
at this podcast. But anyway, so it was just nuts. But anyway, that's the bizarre part too, is he doesn't know how this happened. So that makes it very clear this wasn't what he was intending to do, that something else occurred.
And then we we just see Tom Holland Spider-Man show up on screen, confirming that Eddie and Venom are now in the MCU.
And then people in the theater start cursing.
Just
like
everybody. Place went wild.
It was awesome. It was one of the best reactions we've had in the theater in a very long time. But can we talk about how this happened? Because we can dive in. We're going to speculate completely irresponsibly here because might as well. But we're not super sure of anything right now of what happened. We're kind of just in the dark on everything. But there are three main theories going around. And I'm going to get y'all's opinion on all three of them. Right. So the first one is it was Doctor Strange breaking the universe like we saw in the No Way Home trailer, which would make sense, except the fact that the broadcast that outs Peter Parker as Spider-Man happened way before Doctor Strange had that spell. So that timeline doesn't... That's a theory out there. It could have been a rerun, but I'm not sure why they would rerun that. They could just talk more about it if their website. I know, but so that's a time that doesn't match up.
Well, do we actually hear the dialogue from J. Jonah Jameson and know that it is without a doubt the actual clip from the end of Far
From Home? We can assume. I don't remember what he says because again, the theater was erupted. I guess we're just going to have to go see the movie again. Darn it.
We're just going to find out when the movie's playing and then get tickets and just hop from Venom theater to Venom theater to Venom theater
and watch it
and watch the end credits.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think that works. But
okay.
That's one of the main theories that's probably the most credible and
because there's like this explosion off in the horizon that looks just like what happened in the No Way Home trailer.
It does, yes.
No Way Home.
The second one is Loki and the whole thing that happened there with the multiverse breaking with the He Who Remains, which could work, except for the fact that it's accepted everywhere on every article that Eddie looks like he was brought over by something and not just randomly taken to another universe by
I think that's a fair assumption.
What do you mean by brought over by something?
It looks like that portal brought him over into the other universe. It glitched out a lot like into the Spiderverse and everything.
And only he went.
He went. Yes. He only.
It didn't seem like it was just by this random act of chance.
Okay.
So that's one of the other theories. And then this last one is the one that excites me very much and would be a fantastic twist to put into the MCU. Madam Web brought over Eddie and Venom. Now this one could make sense except for the fact that she hasn't been introduced in any of the movies yet, including the Sony universe, not even into the Spiderverse. But a big tell for it is the fact that it looks like Eddie was taken over to this universe and the shock and fear of Venom saying, I didn't do this. So let me give some elaboration on Madam Web for Dad, who hasn't played Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions.
Well, Madam Web is in the 90s comic or 90s animated show.
Very prevalent in a lot of things.
She's part of Secret Wars.
She's very important.
So I know a little bit about
She basically is the Watcher, but for the Spider-Verse. Is a good way of putting it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
She basically brings over Spider-Man all the time into different universes and basically keeps the Spider-Verse in check.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that this would happen in this case.
That's why it's specifically like just Spider-Man Venom or villains being brought over and something.
It could work. But which one do you guys want to happen and which one do you guys think is actually going to happen?
All right. I want Madam Web. What I think is going to happen is Doctor Strange. Because I think what happened in Loki is the timeline breaking. I don't think that creates different universes. That's just different alternate timelines. What happened with Doctor Strange is I think he pulled from different universes, and that's where Venom comes from.
I think that it's most likely the Doctor Strange thing just because that's coming in March and connected. Oh, and the Multiverse of Madness is coming in March. And obviously the moment that we're all comparing it to from the trailer is coming in just a couple months.
Right.
So that seems to make most sense. I would not be shocked to see Madam Web brought in there because there's already a Secret Wars series.
A Secret Invasion.
Oh, Secret Invasion. That's different, isn't it?
It's a scroll.
That's a scroll.
Okay.
Timeline.
I want Madam Web. I think it's going to be
I do too. I think that we can all agree Doctor Strange is most likely to happen, but I think we all want Madam Web to be put into the MCU. That would be absolutely amazing. But so we're having about 4 movies in the Sony universe and in the MCU coming out. And of course, the most the closest one is No Way Home. And how this one connects is...
Well, I mean, don't ignore the fact that Eternals comes out in a month. But
this is true.
But after that,
judging with
that connected to this storyline.
Connected to... Who knows? Eternals might be connected to it. We have no idea what Eternals really is going to be. But in No Way Home, we actually might see Venom and Eddie show up in this as either a side character or... what most people think is a post-credit scene stinger to get people excited for another thing, which, again, yes, would make sense. Now, Doctor Strange 2, I think here we can talk about something else besides the post-credit scene. Now, Shriek is a mutant, apparently, in this movie. She mentions in the beginning that her mutation is becoming too strong and that she's going to be moved to another facility.
To Ravencroft.
And now, dealing with the multiverse of madness, do you guys think we can see more mutants in Doctor Strange 2 and that we might see a different version of Shriek to be able to connect it to it?
I don't know. I feel like they've got to do something more to be able to bring in mutants and X-Men. I think this is a nice
I honestly thought they
play.
would have to do more to bring the Sony universe into the MCU except for a post-credit scene. So
fair, but I still think that it's one thing to bring a few Spider-Man characters into a Spider-Man storyline. It's another thing to bring in the entire X-Men universe into the Marvel universe. That is a much bigger colliding of worlds, I think.
I mean, I understand that, but I think we can all admit that no matter when this was put, this is the biggest thing to happen for the Sony Marvel
the end credits
universe. Scene? No, just whenever that Sony was introduced into the MCU, if it was ever introduced, it was going to be the biggest thing to happen. So to put it in a post-credit scene, it would still work. I think that introducing even the X-Men in a post-credit scene in Doctor Strange 2 would still work.
I do think that the fact that they open this movie with a mutant. She is a mutant. She's classic X-Men style character, and I think that even in the Marvel universe, she's considered a mutant in the comics and things. So, for them to insert Shriek into the beginning and make her a major character throughout the entire movie, when in the Marvel comics she's a mutant, and then start her storyline by her talking about her mutation, seems to be the little Easter egg in this movie that nobody's really talking about. I saw John Campia on Twitter talking about it earlier today, and I'm sitting there thinking, thank you, because nobody else really is talking about this right now. We talked about it last night on the way home.
We talked about it during the movie.
I leaned over to Nathan in the movie and was like, hello, mutants. Definitely think that's cool. Yeah.
Now we have this under the radar movie that nobody really talked about even after the trailer came out.
I don't even think I've seen the trailer.
Okay. It was Morbius. Spider-Man.
Not to be confused with Mobius.
Yes, the one
or
the Jets
Morpheus.
guy. Yes, or Morpheus. Yes,
true.
Or Morpheus.
Maybe it's the love child of Mobius.
Okay. All right.
Alrighty.
It's a family show.
Okay. Now the Morbius trailer, when it came out, it was hyped up because it looked fun. I think people were like, oh, it looks good. And the whole Michael Keaton thing at the end was being talked about, like, what does that mean? And then the Sam Raimi picture, Sam Raimi Spider-Man picture on the wall with the murderer on it. That was also another, like, ooh, that's cool. But the hype died down a little bit after it, like maybe a couple weeks. Like, nothing, it wasn't talked about. Now, after this post-credit scene and everything it dealt with, that means so much more to the fact that we might now have another villain from the Sam Raimi universe.
No, wait. That's not... He's not a Sam Raimi character.
I know, Venom isn't, but Morbius could be. We can assume that Morbius is.
Because of the Sam Raimi...
Because of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man picture.
Okay.
That's fair.
And then you have...
Venom, which we aren't sure what universe that is, but... I mean...
But we don't see Venom in this trailer.
We do not know.
Okay. But we do see Michael Keaton, which is Vulture from the MCU.
And we see a Sam Raimi Spider-Man, which is confusing everybody.
This is nuts.
So...
It's nuts, but it's all on the table now. For the first time, you can have these crazy, wild speculations and not look like you're crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Exactly.
We sound... if we had had this conversation...
a week ago...
Yeah, or even a couple years ago, like people would have looked at us like we were insane. We would have been like Mike Zero.
We don't want to talk about that guy yet, but we're going to
yet.
In just a minute. So.
But Morbius, I think, is going to be a huge movie for the Sony MCU deal. It might solidify that when it comes out early next year, really early January of next year. Now, Venom 3, we're not certain about anything with this one, about whatever is going to happen. We need to wait till No Way Home comes out to be able to think about what could happen. But after this movie, what do y'all want to see in Venom 3?
I don't know. I want to see a Venom Spider-Man team-up movie where they've got to, like in the Lethal Protector comics, where they've got to team up to take down some bad guy, and Spider-Man's sitting there having to manage Venom the whole time, being like, no, you can't do that.
And we really didn't even talk about anything in the movie of Venom.
No.
But at the end, the guy turns into Toxin, which is also, is he in Lethal Protector?
No.
Okay. But
I think he's more of a recent character.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. You could almost certainly that they're setting up a Venom 3 with that. That's what I think you're going to see. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, Venom 2 was much better and way more important than I could have possibly expected. And I'm so excited to see where we go from here for the MCU and the Sony universe.
Awesome. Good job, BB Nate.
Thank you.
We've got some repeat offenders about to be called out again for some clickbait headlines this week.
Ooh, busted.
In fact, a couple of these should probably get into like the clickbait Hall of Fame, or maybe it's clickbait jail. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that's all next on Bad News.
Hello, what have we here?
Achuta, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Disney, Star Trek, and even sports fans, we've got a big surprise for you.
That's right, Samuel. The Tatooine Sons is proud to announce that our show is now sponsored by Cufflinks.com.
Yeah, Cufflinks.com is a family-run business owned by three brothers who are huge Star Wars fans.
But they have so many other brands too, including Disney, Marvel, DC, NFL, college football, Roll Tide, along with classics like Jan Leslie, A Dachshund Bull.
Now, as hard as it is to believe, Christmas is just around the corner. So thanks to Cufflinks.com, we just made shopping for the sharp-dressed Star Wars fan in your life so much easier.
They have over 3,000 items on the website, covering not just cufflinks, but ties, tie bars, socks, money clips, and other great gifts.
And we're saving you money. Just use the code Tatooine15 at checkout to receive 15% off everything on the site with no minimum order required.
It's such a great deal.
Yeah.
So head on over to Cufflinks.com today. And remember, use that code Tatooine15 at checkout.
Impressive. Most impressive.
All right. Let's talk about some bad news.
Well, you want the bad news or the really bad news?
Headline 1. The Mandalorian Season 4 will reportedly see the return of Mace.
No
Windu.
way.
You're serious?
No way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm not serious, but somebody else thinks they are. Epic Stream they're becoming a regular on Bad News. That's not good news for them. I like that. And it's a dad joke for free. And this week it's because they're bringing us another Mike Zero headline.
Oh boy.
The relevant portion of the article says, now, if you think Luke is the only returning character you'll see in the Mantiverse, hold your horses, because a new rumor from YouTuber Mike Zero suggests the Mantiverse will also bring back familiar faces from the prequel trilogy era, according to his latest scoop, The Mandalorian
Scoop?
Fourth season.
Made up rumor
that he'll come back in 3 months and say that Samuel L. Jackson couldn't come to a contract with Disney, and so he's not in it anymore. Anyway, The Mandalorian's fourth season will mark the return of several notable characters from the prequel trilogy, headlined by Samuel L. Jackson's Mace Windu. He went out the window. Who will allegedly meet Ahsoka Tano and Luke Skywalker in a hidden Jedi temple. Zero didn't disclose which other characters from the prequels could turn up in season 4, but he claims that the plot will revolve around the secrets of Order 66.
In The Mandalorian?
And once again, Epic Stream loses any shred of credibility they might have ever had by sourcing the most uncredible Star Wars YouTuber in the galaxy, clickbait level 10.
Oof. Yeah, I think that's fair. All right, next one. Marvel confirms major source of tension as latest series ends. This is from InsideTheMagic.com. We've mentioned them a couple times at this point. But before I explain what's actually being said in this article, I want to ask you two what you think is implied by this headline.
Well, I mean, it sounds like there's like a source of tension among actors and producers and directors in the production of the film. Like there's a problem within Marvel, like MCU, Marvel Studios, Disney.
Yeah, it's like
major source of tension going on there. That's what it seems to imply.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're supposed to believe this is about, but that's actually not it at all. The article is a recap of the latest episode of What If and some comments by writer A.C. Bradley on the season 1 finale. The quote generating the headline is, going into the finale, a major source of tension is, will the Watcher ever break his oath? Or will he remain who he is? Will he stay the Watcher, only observing the triumphs and tragedies? Will there ever be a story that forces his hand? This is classic clickbait. It got us to click the link, and for that reason, I'm giving it an 8.
Wow, we're going high numbers today.
These are pretty bad clickbait.
But it's not, that wasn't like malignant clickbait.
Malignant?
Malignant?
Malignant.
It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's clickbait.
Oh yeah,
but it's not a lie.
It's taken out of context.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this next one, Warner Brothers reportedly already planning a sequel for The Flash. Wow, it's surprising stuff right there. This headline is from WeGotThisCovered.com, and it's sourcing from a tweet by Grace Randolph.
Okay,
so really credible, like both, just like top of the line, like Hollywood Reporter level stuff. Yet no,
not at all.
Both of them are really bad with clickbait, and I think that's all the reason I need to give for me to give it a 10 for the clickbait level. Yeah.
Wow,
this is a bad week.
This is a bad clickbait week. All right, we should probably turn on to something that's actually legitimate. All right, in another one of those pinch ourselves moments, we've been given the honor of reviewing the brand new Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales, which released today. And as part of this amazing opportunity, we are going to be joined by, I don't know how this stuff happens to us, but anyway, by director Ken Cunningham and writer David Shayne to talk about why we need stories about facing our fears now more than ever.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
If you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
It's interesting because Renee, we only see him for that brief second in Rogue One.
Yeah, like half a second.
He's huge in the comic books, and he's like obsessed with telling stories to like torture a rebel pilot.
It's just Assad.
It's bizarre. All right, let's before we I should give the official description. So if you have not had a chance to watch the Disney Plus show, Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales, please take some time to do that.
It was a lot of fun. It was really good.
Awesome. Let me give you an official description so you know what you're in for. After the events of The Rise of Skywalker, Poe and BB-8 must make an emergency landing on the volcanic planet Mustafar, where they meet the greedy and conniving Graballa the Hutt, who has purchased Darth Vader's castle and is renovating it into the galaxy's first all-inclusive Sith-inspired luxury hotel. While waiting for his X-Wing to be repaired, Poe, BB-8, Graballa, and Dean, who's a plucky and courageous young boy who works as Graballa's mechanic, venture deep into the mysterious castle with Vader's loyal servant, Vinay. Along the way, Vinay shares 3 creepy stories linked to ancient artifacts and iconic villains from across all eras of Star Wars. As Vinay spins his tales and lures our heroes deeper into the shadowy underbelly of the castle, a sinister plan emerges with the help of Dean, Poe, and BB-8. I should read it the right way. With the help of Dean, Poe and BB-8 will have to
don't
face...
you love the English language?
Yeah, isn't it awesome? We'll have to face their fears, stop an ancient evil from rising, and escape to make it back to their friends really quickly, because we got a lot happening here, and it's about ready to start. On a scale of 1 to 10, zombie B1 battle droids, BB Nate, rate this little special.
7. It was really good. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It was just really good, surprisingly.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 7.5, I think. It was entertaining. Yes, I do.
Okay.
It was entertaining. It was fun, but it actually had good little lessons for it and stuff too.
Yeah, I'm going to give it an 8.5 just because I think that the lessons were really, really well done in this.
Okay.
They told the stories really well. And so for me, thinking about dads and their kids being able to watch this, and then maybe even dads being able to use this as a conversation starter about, being afraid. It was really, really good. There is so much that we can say about the Lego Star Wars special, but we should probably bring in our guests who are helping us talk about it this week. So
yeah.
We are honored to be joined by the director of Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales, Ken Cunningham. Ken Cunningham is a multiple Gemini award-winning director. He's directed some amazing projects, including Lego Marvel Avengers Climate Conundrum, Lego Jurassic World Legend of Isla Nublar, and, of course, the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special.
Yeah.
And we also have the show's writer, David Shayne, who has written for a ton of Lego animated productions, including, the Freemaker Adventures and everything that I mentioned that Ken directed, including the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. But what you guys, Samuel Hutt and BB Nate, you're going to be most excited about is that David was a writer for a little show called Phineas and Ferb.
What?
And on this, he's on the episodes This Is Your Backstory.
Good episode.
Good episode.
And The Chronicles of Meat.
Both are very good episodes.
Really good episodes.
Awesome.
All right.
I thought you'd be excited about that. Welcome, Ken and David, to Tatooine Sons. We are so excited to have you guys on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for being here. Perfect. Thanks for doing this. Let's get right into it. I'm going to have BB Nate go first.
Yeah.
Right.
So when we watched Terrifying Tales, it was really clear that the main theme is about how we handle being afraid. Why is this an important story to tell?
Oh, that's a great question. The truth is I think we live in scary times, and things feel challenging. I mean, I think it's true. I think things always feel challenging. They feel particularly challenging now. They certainly have for the last couple of years during lockdown. So it really became sort of a natural theme to explore. Ken and I are both dads, and I think we kind of think about the values that we're raising in our kids and sort of saying fear is natural. We all feel that way. And the real challenge is sort of how do you deal with it? And are there ways you can let that inspire you? And also I'd say it's okay to feel scared.
Very cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So, Vinay isn't a really familiar Star Wars character. Why did you choose to make him the main bad guy in the story?
It kind of for the reason you said. It was fun to have somebody new to get to play with a bit. We knew from doing our 3 classic tales that we were going to be dealing with a lot of the villains. We really want to explore a lot of the villains of Star Wars. It's Halloween. You're dealing with scary things and evil. And so we knew we were going to be having a lot of villains. So it was also nice to get a couple of folks that we hadn't seen as much. So it was really nice to bring Grabala back from Freemaker Adventures. And then also Vinay, we realized once we had this setting of Vader's castle, we realized, Vader's castle, that we've got a haunted house right there in the Star Wars universe. And then you have Vinay, who we've barely seen on screen. It was really fun to actually get to bring Vinay to life. He has a brief appearance in Rogue One, and then he's in the comics, but this is the first time we brought him to screen. And Tony Hale just crushed it and really just imbued that character with so much life.
Yeah. Yeah. Ken, you've been directing Star Wars or Lego adventures for a long time, animated films. What was it like? What's it like doing Star Wars? Are you a big Star Wars fan?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, dating myself here, but I was 10 when the first film came out. And I was, I saw it in the theater. Back then you could sit through multiple showings. My friends and I would just go on a Saturday and sit through 3 showings. I probably saw it 20 times in the theater. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. And in terms of just the Lego thing in general, it's just such a fun thing to play with. It just lets you kind of go places you can't go in other animation franchises. And yeah, getting the opportunity to do Star Wars was a dream. Doing the holiday special. One when I first got the gig, it was like, not sure what I'm going to do after this.
Yeah, exactly.
might have to retire.
Go out on top, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. The holiday special too was such a loaded term, a loaded phrase in the Star Wars mind. I know we'll come back to Terrifying Tales but I got to ask, what was it like to direct something that had so much baggage, 40 years of baggage?
I mean, at first it was a little scary. I think the whole team, we felt that, like, working through, like, EPs and myself. But I mean, once we got into it, like, I mean, really, like, it just started to be so much fun. You can't really worry about that stuff at a certain point. I mean, you want to honor the fandom and you want to, do all the material justice, but you have to kind of just start to separate yourself from the anxiety of like how people react to it and just try and make the best thing you can make, because that's really the only thing you can do. And then, hope that people like it.
Yeah, they absolutely
I think that's really well put, Ken. I mean, right. Star Wars and holidays, that has its own sort of thing. And we wanted to do something. I mean, the great thing about Lego Star Wars is it just gives you a place to play that is funny and different. I often refer to it as canon adjacent. So we are honoring everything about Star Wars and what the canon is and all of that. But when you get to put it through that Lego lens, you get to do some different things and you get to be funny and have little winks and nods and step outs that you wouldn't get to do otherwise. And it's just creatively, it's just a very rich environment to play in, frankly.
That's awesome.
Definitely. Yeah, we understand that Lego Star Wars are fun side stories that aren't intended to be taken too seriously, but a lot of fans are going to be excited to think about the possibilities of a new Padawan off on his way to meet Rey and what that could mean in the future. Why did you decide to make Dean strong in the Force?
It felt like sort of a natural place to go with him, and it was, we like to see that journey of watching these young characters. We've certainly seen it with Rey. We watched that journey with Anakin. We watched that journey with Luke. So it's interesting. I think it's a good, and Ahsoka and good God, I realized
Ezra
and naming all the young ones.
Exactly.
Started going the first journey. And I don't know. Do you guys have 3 hours?
Right.
So it felt
we do.
natural.
Lillian says we don't. Okay.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So, it is fun to see that journey. I think what was interesting for us with Dean is that we felt like once we were doing a special and dealing with the theme of fear, it was really fun to take this swaggery character, Poe, who's really confident and almost to the point of overconfidence. And then you wanted something to counter that with. So, Poe, he's seen it all and thinks he's done it all. And so it's fun to sort of counter that with a more innocent kid. And then giving him some of that Force sensitivity, it just felt like the right thing to do. We're in Darth Vader's castle. We're on Mustafar. Like the Force abounds. And so we wanted to have all of that kind of contrast come into play.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, as you said, Poe Dameron's always portrayed as an overconfident flyboy. But in Terrifying Tales, you chose to show that his confidence is really just masking his fear. Why did you want to show that side of the best pilot in the Resistance?
I think in part it's, a couple of things. I think that's humanity. I think a lot of us sometimes, what's the saying, fake it till you make it. It's that sometimes you want to put on that sort of confident act, and deep down we all can feel insecure or scared at times. I thought that was a really important lesson for Dean to learn and sort of to see that. So as we followed Dean's journey as he's sort of gaining confidence and learning that fear is very natural and something we all deal with, here's this guy who in Dean's eyes and all of our eyes has never had a down moment or a low moment, or I should say a scared moment in his life. And I think it's important to see that. We all have those moments.
That's awesome. All right. We end every time we have anybody as a guest on the show asking this question. And so we'll start with you, Ken. And then when Ken, you're finished, David, if you'll answer it, for you, how does Star Wars inspire hope?
How does Star Wars inspire hope? Well, I mean, it's the bones of the whole franchise, really, right? So, I mean, it's about aspiring. So that for me, that's what it is, really. And that's built into the very bones of the franchise. And that's what I love about it, really.
Yeah, I mean, I like that there are good guys and there are bad guys, and that the good guys fight against enormous odds, and it shows that when we come together and stand with each other, the good guys can win, even against what may often appear to be insurmountable odds. That is really incredibly inspiring, frankly.
Awesome. Well, we're going to leave it with that. That was awesome. Thank you guys so much for spending a couple of minutes with us. It was great.
Yeah.
Super fun. Nice to meet y'all.
Right, nice to meet you guys. May the force be with you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Well, that was
that's so cool.
Yeah,
I can't believe we get to do something like that.
And we got like twice as long as we did with James Wan.
We did.
Yeah, so
that was a lot of fun.
With Star Wars Visions, that was a lot of fun. We're not going to spend a ton of time going into this because you guys can go watch it, and the interview was a lot more interesting than what we can talk about when it comes to the show. But I do want to get your guys' thoughts on the 3 different tales that are a part of that. The first one was The Lost Boy. It tells of how Ben Solo is lured to the dark side by Ren, the Ren. When he learns that power only comes to those who are unafraid to take it. What were some of your favorite moments in that, Sam?
I thought it was kind of neat, like with the whole Kylo name, where that came from, and how he's like using that.
You're such a Kylo.
Yeah, but he like took it as like that's his personality now. I think it was kind of neat.
Okay, BB Nate.
I loved how the Knights of Ren were kind of a biker gang in this episode, this tale. That was hilarious.
Oh come on, you guys aren't going to bring up the '80s music montage?
That was also
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was really good.
definitely worth watching just for that music montage. With it. The next story that was told was The Dueling Monstrosities. It's a look at 2 of the Emperor's most faithful minions as they seek to recover an ancient Sith lightsaber. But are Maul and Grievous, the 2 minions, only loyal to Darth Sidious because they're afraid of what will happen if they oppose him? Favorite moments, BB Nate?
The fight between Darth Maul and Grievous was actually really cool. It was a well done fight for a Lego, and because we don't get a lot of fights in Lego all that often, so
it was pretty.
It was really awesome.
Samuel?
I'm always a fan of the Emperor in these shorts. The character is so fun. I like the part where he's just sitting there like playing with the Imperial Guard just because he's bored, with the Force.
There were like 3 or 4 dad puns in this one and dad jokes and so on. A lot of fun for me on that. All right, last one, The Wookiee's Paw. It's basically Star Wars What If, Luke Skywalker edition. It gives a look at what might have happened if all of Luke Skywalker's greatest wishes were immediately granted. Favorite moments in this for you, Samuel the Hutt?
I like how it kind of just ended up being the same anyway. Oh, it was fun though. I liked Leia's helmet that was built around her buns, so she didn't have to, take out her hair.
Her hair buns.
Yeah, her hair buns. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And BB Nate,
I enjoyed how the whole master apprentice thing that happened with Darth Vader, and then how basically Luke Skywalker is very powerful on the dark side if you really wanted to go down that path, and that was actually
it's like Legends or something.
It was,
like that,
yeah,
because he does that. I think that the fact that everything happened is there was like an absolute point
with him blowing up the Death Star.
With the Death Star on that. That was a lot of fun. But why don't we do this? I think this is the segment that's going to lend itself best to a dad moment this week.
Yeah.
I am your father.
Poe Dameron tries to help his new friend Dean overcome his fear by teaching him that everyone feels fear, and that the way to overcome it is to accept it and turn it into courage. But there's more to it than that, and it's another really big part of why Dean and Poe are able to overcome their fear and defeat Vinay, at least in my opinion. They have each other. Alone, it's way too easy to let your fear grow in your mind and become bigger than your courage. But when we're open with each other about our fears and our worries and our frustrations and all those things, our courage is then multiplied while our fears are reduced. It works for Poe and Dean in this special, and it'll work for us too. So, all right, BB Nate, there's some stuff happening in the movie world.
Yeah, not much actually. Only the biggest movie release weekend since the pandemic started, including 4 new releases.
All right, gentlemen, it is show review time.
Nice. But before you read the review, BB Nate, Dad, you should tell our listeners what the news we got today from Apple Podcasts.
All right, cool. Thank you for bringing that
You're
up.
welcome. That's what I'm here for.
We found out that as of today, we are sitting at show 111 on the Apple Podcast chart in the entertainment news category.
Awesome. What does that mean?
That was awesome. Just that awesome was awesome.
It's awesome.
Well, it means that we're just a few spots behind podcasts on major networks, on networks like iHeartRadio's podcast network, Fox News, E! News, and even an official Disney podcast.
Very cool. But what does this have to do with reviews?
Well, I'm glad you asked. We've been saying that ratings and reviews help people find the show and encourage them to listen. And it seems like all of the amazing reviews our listeners have been giving us are working. So, like the review that we got this week from P. Dannon.
Yes, P. Dannon gave 5 stars and said, I never miss a week. David and his boys have cracked the code on how to do a pop culture podcast. A tight 60 minutes covers everything from Marvel to DC to Star Wars and more. Insightful perspective coupled with a palpable family bond makes this show one I never miss.
Thanks, P. Dannon. That was really nice.
That was. Thank you, P. Dannon. And as always, we'll be making a donation in your honor to one child to help bring hope to a child who desperately needs it.
And we'll do the same for you if you review the show. You can do that on your podcast app or just head over to podchaser.com/Tatooine Sons and leave us one there.
Yeah, and remember, you can review more than just the show on podchaser.com. You can review individual episodes as well.
That is correct. So please head on over to podchaser.com/Tatooine Sons. Leave us a review. You can do it while you're finishing listening to this episode.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Along with Venom, Let There Be Carnage releasing, we got 3
Did that
other
come out
movies.
this weekend?
I think so. Okay. I don't know. I've heard a lot about a post-credit scene.
It's
or
good.
something.
Yeah.
But there are 3 other movies that came out. The first one is The Addams Family 2, which I didn't even know was coming out until they said it was coming out this weekend. But the description is the Addams get tangled up in a more wacky adventures and find themselves involved in hilarious run-ins with all sorts of unsuspecting characters in the sequel to the 2019 animated film, The Addams Family. So, yeah.
It's basically a movie that people can drop their kids off at while they go watch Venom.
The cast is Oscar Isaac, our boy Poe Dameron.
He's all over this episode.
Is.
Okay.
Yeah, for real.
He is. Charlize Theron and Chloe Grace Moretz is kind of like the big 3 in that movie. The directors are Greg Tiernan, Conrad Vernon, Laura Brosseau.
Good, you got that.
The studio is MGM Grand. Is it Grand? No, it's not Grand. It's just MGM.
MGM Grand is a hotel.
MGM Grand is a hotel.
Grand is a studio.
Yeah, MGM. The MPAA is PG for macabre and rude humor, violence, and language. Wow, really? Okay. In a PG movie.
You're just like, wow.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
The next one is not for kids, and it's not when you just drop your kids off and go see Venom.
That's just true.
This is The Many Saints of Newark, which is kind of a prequel to the Sopranos show that ended like 10 years ago. The description is young Anthony Soprano is growing up in one of the most tumultuous eras in Newark.
I knew it was going to
NJ.
happen when I saw that word tumultuous.
Tumultuous, got it.
All right.
In Newark, New Jersey, history becoming a man just as rival gangsters start to rise up and challenge the all-powerful DeMeo crime family. Caught up in the changing times is the uncle he idolizes. You just really wanted to call out.
Here it comes.
Wow, all right. Dickie Moltisanti.
Santi.
So
it's Dickie Moltisanti.
Dickie Moltisanti.
Yeah,
all righty.
there we go.
That works. All right. Whose influence over his nephew will help shape the impressionable teenager into the all-powerful mob boss, Tony Soprano.
It's like this entire segment is like Star Wars when Harrison Ford went to George Lucas and said, you can write this stuff, but you can't say it. All right.
Yes, this is true. The cast is Alessandro Nivola, I guess. Yeah, that works. Nivola.
Yeah.
Leslie Odom Jr., John Bernthal. I guess that's like the big 3. The director is Alan Taylor.
Okay.
The studio is Warner Brothers. Good for them.
It's rated R.
The MPAA is rated R for strong language, pervasive language. I don't know what the difference between strong and pervasive is. Sexual content and some nudity. So yeah, definitely not one you just drop your kids off.
And let's follow this one up by
now we're going to cleanse our ears,
cleanse ourselves
with this next one.
With the Jesus music, which is just kind of a limited release more than anything. It's not going to all theaters. The description is this documentary reveals Jesus music's Musici? Okay.
Plural of music.
Musici. Untold story from its humble beginnings at the Calvary Chapel in Costa Mesa, California, through its transformation into the multi-billion-dollar industry of Christian contemporary music today. The cast is Kirk Franklin, Amy Grant, Kevin Max, Toby Mac, Michael W. Smith.
Big names.
All
and others.
Yes, and others. Yes, a lot. The director is Andrew and John Irwin. The studio is A Kingdom Story in conjunction with K-Love Films and Southland Studios.
It's a long studio name.
Yeah, that's a very long studio name. And the MPAA is PG-13 for thematic material.
All right. You're not done. Go.
I am not done. Alrighty. So the movie news, we got some trailers. Well, one trailer, Encanto, which actually, I watched the trailer. Looks really good.
It does.
A young Colombian girl has to face the frustration of being the only member of her family without magical powers. And a magical house and everything. And it just looks like a Disney movie.
It looks really good.
It looks like a good Disney movie. It comes out November 24th, 2021. So that's pretty soon.
Really soon.
Right around Thanksgiving.
The box office numbers. This is not including Venom because they didn't really release officially when I was writing this.
Yeah, no, that's not. It's not.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is sitting at a $13 million
for last weekend
with a full $196.2 million, almost breaking $200 million, which is great.
Domestic.
Dear Evan Hansen. This is not good. $7.4 million on its opening weekend. That's bad. Free Guy made $4.1 million, and it's sitting at a comfortable $114.1 million.
And it's really interesting that Free Guy is the number 3 movie in America as of last weekend. It won't be this weekend, but but anyway, 2 months after it released,
it's been a while.
It's still getting it has legs in the theaters. So
it was a good movie.
That's awesome. All right, good job, BB Nate.
Thank you.
Congrats.
You had some words.
We had some hard words.
All right, Samuel. Let's talk about What If.
Yeah, this week's episode gave us all the crazy what if fun we know and love, but with a real sense of peril this time. Clint has a robot arm. Uatu apparently has armor now. And you guessed it, Tony dies again.
Be on your guard. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world.
All right, then, keep your secrets.
You're coming to us. Is as the footsteps of doom.
There are many magic rings in this world, Bilbo Baggins, and none of them should be used lightly.
I can actually pronounce Arnim Zola.
It's kind of cool.
I didn't realize there's 2 copies.
Well, there's multiple.
Multiple apparently, but that was the last one.
Oh, interesting.
But that confirms that there's still another one existing that they didn't find yet. So that's cool.
Interesting. Yeah. All right, I want to get y'all's rating of this episode on a scale of 1 to 10. Fractured universes.
Wow, this was a really good
episode.
episode.
A fractured universe show.
I'd give it a 9. It was very good. I really enjoyed Uatu actually doing Uatu stuff and not just sitting in the background as a silhouette narrating.
All right.
I really liked it.
I'm going to give it an 8.5 solely for the big battle between Uatu and Ultron.
Overall,
cool.
Yeah. No,
I'm going to give it a 9 because of the battle, because it was just a really cool battle. But honestly, I mean, the other stuff was fine, but I think that's what the episode really had going for it. So this week's episode follows the main stories. It follows Clint and Natasha as they're the only remaining Avengers and some of the very few, if not the only people remaining on Earth. Infinity Ultron took over and the entire planet is now covered in a nuclear winter.
Nuclear or nuclear? Are we saying it like George W. Bush? Or are we saying it like you're supposed to?
Well, nucleus.
It's not nuclear.
How do you say it?
Nuclear.
Nuclear?
Nuclear.
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 Uh-huh. It's like nuclear.
Nuclear.
Yeah, that sounds horrible. Nuclear. Winter. Anyway, why do you guys think that it was Nat and Clint who survived and not any of the other Avengers?
Well, because Hawkeye's the best Avenger, and he doesn't have to die in every episode of What If.
Shut up.
He actually gets his own TV series. Wow, that's nice. And Natasha, I'm not sure why they kept her. I mean,
it is interesting to think about the reality that the two non-superpowered Avengers are the ones that have survived at this point.
Well, because they have to actually worry about survival instincts.
3. Okay, Iron Man doesn't have superpowers.
He has a suit,
yeah,
because he's smart.
Well, they don't. Powers. Those people don't have to worry as much about surviving constantly. These people have to worry about going into giant fights that are way bigger than them and surviving in those. That's true. Yeah. So their survival instincts are just hiked up to an 11.
Yeah. So this episode gave us a different look at the events of Age of Ultron, but interestingly, we
honestly a better look at Age of Ultron.
But interestingly, we didn't see either of the Maximoff twins or hear any mention of them, even though they were integral to the film story. Where were the twins during all of this, guys? Dad?
I don't know. Well, dead probably, because I don't know. Actually, I don't know where they would be.
What if they'd never turned to help the Avengers, and that is why Ultron defeated the Avengers, because Wanda and
maybe that's why they were successful.
Because they didn't exactly clarify how Ultron won. They just said he did, right?
Yeah, they just said he was successful in creating.
But where are they now? Body. Just dead? Yeah, probably dead because he was ready to clear the whole planet. Yeah. Interesting.
That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
All right. There's this moment in the episode where Ultron actually ends up killing everything in the universe, and he's just kind of like standing there wondering what to do.
All sad for himself.
Yeah, right? Like, I don't feel bad for you, bud. Of course, Uatu is narrating all of this, but at one point, Ultron notices him, and this causes Uatu to close the connection and try to process what just happened. But why do you guys think Ultron was able to sense Uatu?
I don't know. I guess he reached another, like, part of enlightenment or something in the MCU. I have no clue. Like, yeah, that was weird.
It is the weird part. It's sort of like a dark, sinister, not funny Deadpool moment in this.
Like a fourth wall break.
There's this narrator in the background, and he turns around and he's like, who said that?
Maybe he was able to connect further for his mind because he had the Mind Stone connected to his actual mind. So maybe cosmically that allowed him to be aware of other things. I don't know.
I think what it was is that there's no or very few living creatures left in the universe. So having, he would notice this presence more because there's less living energy. I don't know how it works.
That's an interesting thing.
Also, he's Ultron and he's got the Infinity Gauntlet. But
there you go.
Not long after Ultron notices Uatu, Uatu watches Nat and Clint struggle to find the key to saving that universe. He gets perilously close to breaking his oath and interfering. But fortunately, Nat found it just in time. But of course, Ultron does find Uatu, and thus begins the craziest fight in all of MCU history. Eventually, Uatu is beaten and forced to retreat and break his oath by coming to Strange Supreme for help. Where do you guys think it goes from here? Why is he coming to Doctor Strange for help?
I think because Doctor Strange is the only other one who is aware of him in the universe. Like, he knows he exists. They talked to each other. So I think that Uatu already broke his oath kind of with Doctor Strange, or at least made himself known, so he's able to use the power.
Logical step, yeah.
I'm glad you bring up the fact that Doctor Strange or
Strange Supreme or whatever it is.
Supreme.
I think it's Strange Supreme. It doesn't matter either way.
Anyway, Strange Supreme, and he interacted at the end of that episode with, because I had the Strange Supreme episode, I had forgotten that they had interacted. So it felt weird to me. All of a sudden, Strange Supreme shows up, and so that helps answer that to me a little bit more. Where it goes right now, I mean, they sort of have the conversation like they're going to be bringing other people into this, right?
Right. I think from trailer teasers and stuff like that, we can safely assume that there's going to be this Guardians of the Multiverse or whatever that's brought together. He's going to bring in all these characters that we've been seeing throughout the series, like Captain Carter and Frat Bro Thor and all of that, to help fight Infinity Ultron, because he's the big bad guy of this. But before we close out, just for fun, what did y'all think about the whole fight there between? Because that was the main selling point.
They were just how weird can we get? Let's let them punch through different multiverses. That works, right?
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really, really awesome. We saw, Captain America like swearing an oath or something in New York City, like almost like
no, he's at Washington D.C. He's become president.
He's becoming
in that
president.
Multiverse.
Yeah,
which
honestly, he's got my vote.
Yeah,
he's got Mom's vote too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
For and more according to Ant-Man, he's got more than America's vote. He's got the appreciation. So anyway,
good answer. Yeah,
that's good.
That was cool. So. It's sad that we only have one episode left in the series, and it feels like they got a lot to wrap up in that time, too. But this finale promises to give us one of the craziest endings to a Marvel series yet. So far, the series has exceeded our expectations, and I can't wait to see how they bring it all
the ending is going to be
it's
going to be pretty awesome. Very good job, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
Yeah, executive Victoria Alonso confirms Marvel Studios has 31 projects in development, doubling their output from the past 13 years.
Yeah, so currently there's 31 projects in development right now, and there were 32 total in the first 13 years.
That's crazy.
It is a Marvel world. We're all just
that's
in it.
That's a lot.
Multiverse.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're probably going to be including some Sony.
There's
things
33 now because of what happened last night in that end credits scene.
And Robert Pattinson teases that DC fandom has lots of surprises for the Batman.
Ooh, you getting hyped?
I was hyped when I heard that they were doing another DC fandom, but yeah, of course.
That's awesome. And this is absolutely glorious.
We're going to have to pick this one up.
Hasbro is releasing a Black Series George Lucas Star Wars Stormtrooper.
I've seen it.
Action figure.
It's great.
It is great. So for you two, just know, since we've already gotten some amazing things from cufflinks.com, thank you guys so much at cufflinks.com for sponsoring the show and giving us all this amazing stuff, cufflinks and tie bars and ties and socks and all of these amazing things. Because of that,
my tie bar glows in the dark.
My request for Christmas is the George Lucas Stormtrooper Black Series.
Okay,
all right, let's get that if we can get it. All right, we got a couple of three big announcements coming up next weekend, October 9th and 10th. We are actually going to be at Alabama Comic Con in Birmingham. We have a panel at 12-ish, noonish in panel room 4, where we're going to be telling the story of Turbis the Porg and talking about podcasting as a family and taking questions from the audience about how ideas and advice for them if they decide they want to start up a podcast. We'll also be live streaming throughout both days on bullhorn.fm. I would highly recommend everybody go and download the Bullhorn FM app, and we're going to have lots of surprises all weekend long as we get the opportunity to live stream from the show floor. So that'll be cool. And the weekend after that, maybe Nate, what is that weekend?
It's DC Fandom for 4 hours. Let's go.
And there's a high likelihood that at some point, either during, probably after, because Nathan and I won't be able to get him to stop watching, we're probably going to do some live streaming reaction to some of the big announcements, trailers, teasers, and hopefully the restoration of the Snyder cut of the Spiderverse. Probably not happening, but anyway.
We can hope.
We can hope. Biggest announcement, though, is Podathon 2021. It is November 6th. We will be on that from noon to 1 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be a live video on YouTube. Shows that are participating in this, I think it's a 12-hour broadcast on this are Star Wars Explained, Tarkin's Top Shelf, Blue Bantha Milk Company, Chronicles, Pink Milk, the Imperial Senate Podcast of the Wills, Broaxium, Geeky Waffle, Beyond the Blast Doors will be live as well, Force Connect, and then it's being organized, and of course you're going to have Bombadcast and Around the Galaxy who are putting this thing all together. The reason we're doing this is we are going to partner with these podcasts to help raise funds for Make-A-Wish Foundation. Now, they did this last year, around the same time of year, and they set a goal of raising $500 for Make-A-Wish Foundation last year. They actually raised $2,000, blowing that goal away. This year, they've tripled the goal to $1,500. But I think that we can actually be a part, because of all of you listening and your generosity, we can be a part of seeing them raise $3,000.
Let's do it.
So let's work through that. Can't wait to get more information to you guys about that in the next coming a few weeks. So I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you guys so much for listening to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast.
Yes, if you had a good time listening, it'd be awesome if you could share this with your friends.
Yeah, and of course, the show is only a small part of the Tatooine Sons world. So be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter to get in on all the action, join our Facebook discussion group, and keep up to date on everything we've got going on at TatooineSons.com.
And of course, don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast app. You can do that right on Bullhorn FM.
See,
it's a podcast app. And don't miss our next episode. Remember that if you drop us a review, you can just go to podchaser.com/Tatooine Sons to do that. We'll make a donation in your honor to one child to help a child who is living. You dropped your papers.
I didn't drop them. They fell.
Help a child living in extreme poverty. So thank you guys so much for doing that. Anything else you guys would like to say?
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.
Joy, please.
Yep, yep.